Welcome friends to another 40k video. Today we join Trazyn the Infinite as he faces a Satan. From The Infinite and the Divine by Robert Rath. Trazyn is a Necron who, as part of the Necron tier, had broken down and captured their gods into shards. Trazyn and his rival, Orikan, have been trying to uncover the secrets of Nephreth's tomb. They join forces when they find that the tomb is a myth planted by the Deceiver, the Necron who first deceived the Silent King into agreeing to allowing the Necron tier to transfer their human bodies into robot bodies. And the Deceiver at this point has also manipulated both Trazyn and Orikan, his rival, into releasing him. When we drop in, Trazyn has just found the Deceiver and not Nephreth as expected. Trazyn saw the Satan's skull lengthen and deform, horns sprouting from the sides of the conical cranium to bracket the leering lips. Trazyn says he will not stand aside, and Orikan appears to aid him. Orikan uses energy whipcords to entangle the god, who opens its mouth to release antimatter. The Tesseract vault was fracturing, expanding into four as it tried to dissipate the energies swirling inside it, preventing overload. Between the pillars, the shining Satan shard struggled against its energy bonds, its necrodermis shell cracking, the howling and corporal energies inside being flayed into strips of electricity that waved like the flagella on a microbe. As they flee, Trazyn sees the energy cords are being broken by the Satan. Orikan summons an army of tomb guardians who advance on the star god. A doomsday arc rises into the air, and then with a last heave, the Satan pulled the pillars of the vault down upon itself. The advancing army stopped, its target obscured beneath the rubble until the Unbound broke through. Energy beams lit the dim crypt, stabbing and overlapping, so many lancing through the air. Flayers, gauze blasters, synaptic disintegrators, even the fragmenting storm of Tesla carbines, that the target became lost beneath a lattice of deadly firepower, and as the smoke twisted away, it was clear the barrage had done nothing. The Deceiver swiped its hand in a dismissive arc, and a phalanx of immortals melted, living metal dissolving and running like candles, stood next to a hearth. Trazyn asks Orikan if he can take on his energy form. No is the response. The device strikes down, a doomsday arc with a dimensional bolt. The Deceiver makes a promise to the soldiers, offering them flesh, and opened a dimensional hole to a red dimension, where bent, taloned things lurked, yellow eyes peering through a curtain of misting blood. Orikan told himself it was not real, that he had not glimpsed the flare dimension where the infected waited between kills. It was an illusion of the Deceiver, but still warped the Tomb Guardians into something tinged with the flare virus, and the warriors then turned on each other. Orikan tried to counter the virus. Trazyn is tempted to aid the Deceiver, to hand over his solar gem, but then Orikan's security protocol raced across his vision and took that thought away. Then the Deceiver split itself. The Master Shard floated in the center, two dimmer copies either side of it. It's fracturing itself, said Orikan, throwing off shards so we can't focus our fire, making it easier to spread its system corruption. Orikan says they face at least 5 or 6 shards. To aid them, Trazyn opens a pocket dimension and hides the Eldari gem there. And then Trazyn is asked if he brought an army. He says, have faith. He brought 5. Curling threads of dimensional bleed twisted out of the Tesseract labyrinth, its prismatic light difficult to look upon, and out of it stepped Trazyn the Infinite, tile cloak shifting and clicking as he marched from the rift, followed by another Trazyn and another, rank upon rank of overlords wielding war scythes. Orikan says he has had this nightmare before. Trazyn plans to destroy the smaller shards first. Trazyn sees Orikan's battle feed, looking at each force they have deployed. They need to dominate in the air, so Trazyn uses his obliterator staff to break a corrupted Leech Guard's shields and creates a gap in the Satan's warriors. Orikan guided their forces to stop a second charge reaching him and took command of a Tomb Blade, a ship which he used to try and maintain their air superiority. When he made a wrong choice, Orikan moved back through time to correct it. Below, Trazyn is fighting those corrupted by the Satan to a standstill, but the Deceiver Shard attacked and shriveled the Infinite's warriors to ash, and he faced Trazyn alone and says he will not give him an honourable death. And Trazyn uses his staff's end to meet the Satan with a crack of thunder. Orikan looked at his side's losses and could see the Deceiver did not want to walk out of this tomb at the head of an army. Its entire objective was to kill Trazyn and Orikan, then escape. Orikan projected that was going to happen. The Star God struck out, bare-handed, fingers unspooling into 10-foot electric lashes that slapped the black stone to Trazyn's right, throwing up sparks. The Satan danced forward, whirling, and lashed down again to his left. It was only thanks to the cloak that Trazyn was not badly hit, but the cloak tiles were glowing like embers. The Deceiver's every blow was mortal, the need for the chrono sorcery constant. One solid hit from its lashing tendrils, and it could shatter him to pieces. He met the whips again with his obliterator, and was pulled forward, his jaw ripped off, and the Infinite became trapped within the Deceiver's energy arms. Trazyn dropped his weapon, and tendrils bored deep into his form. It was a forgotten feeling for him, pain. But then his ribcage was ripped open, and still attached to his body, his central reactor was pulled out. It was squeezed. The source of his power was gone, and Trazyn's eyes went out. But then the Satan is struck from the side with an obliterator. Trazyn had entered another surrogate. He advanced on the wounded shard, swinging it back and forth like a pendulum, watching it flinch as the woof sound the artifact made, the obliterator made in the air as it cut the ether, each passage leaving meteor trails of tainted emerald light in its wake. Trazyn sees a second Deceiver shard approaching. Orikan puts his mind into a shard blade, and Trazyn was struggling to stay alive against two. One shard crushed his arm. Trazyn grabbed a tesseract labyrinth, and claws emerged from the depths of the prismatic glare, gene stealers, and they swamped the shard. One wounded collapsed and detonated, its necrodermis pierced and its energy gathered from stars, dissipating. Trazyn jumped to a new body, and he saw the Master Shard move to Orikan, who fired a beam from the craft his mind occupied, the Tomb Blade. It nearly reached the Deceiver, who blocked it with a palm, and the beam reversed, and so Orikan ejected his consciousness, and he saw the Satan's necrodermis was weak. And then it came for the Necrons. Trazyn unleashed his gene stealer reserves, which won them space, and Trazyn thought about and unleashed his final labyrinth as the Deceiver came closer. From this came Raptor Riders, a Carnosaur, and an Eldari Farseer, who begun to attack the Star God. The Deceiver swung a fist at the mount, but it was protected by a psychic shield. Orikan says he cannot still change into his energy form, and he rebuffs a suggestion he empower himself with the Satan, as it would kill him. But Trazyn had one more trick, something he'd stolen. It was an ancient Eldari gemstone, which you'll remember he hid earlier, and he gives it in a moment of trust to Orikan, or perhaps it's self-preservation. Orikan scans and pulls in the energy. His reactor glow increased like a sun, and he shot from his body, and Trazyn knew Orikan was briefly a god. From here, Orikan sees the rise and fall of empires. He wishes he had gorged himself on the Necron's life force, as the Satan did. He did have that hunger. That hunger brought him to the Satan, who fired compressed matter at him. In answer, he opened up a portal, and the energy went through it and ended 6 planets. Then he raked at the Satan with claws of energy. They each tore at each other. Orikan pulled away chunks of the necrodermis. The Satan began to plead, and Orikan plunged his hands into its being, at the rich starlight within. And then, it's afterwards. Trazyn approaches Orikan. His body is damaged, but will recover. And Trazyn shows Orikan the captured Satan in his labyrinth once again. He explains Orikan sucked the shard dry, then cast out the energy for Trazyn to capture it. They both agree they will never come to this place again, and they agree the knowledge is too dangerous, and so the Deceiver shard is once again back where it was. But Trazyn would visit. The Deceiver asks Trazyn what he wants to know this time, and is fed a splinter of a shard in payment. Trazyn asks about the Great Rift, and Orikan, with the head of the Datamancer, Vishani, speak, and he also knew about Trazyn's shard with the Datamancer's aid. And after getting a taste of that other form, that godly perspective, he wanted to become a cosmic power, to become part of the wheel of the galaxy, and time to become part of that wheel itself. And that, friends, is where I'll end today's video. Let me know what you think of the adventures of Trazyn and Orikan. I think it's a great book, and you should definitely check out The Infinite and Divine. And that's where I'll end today's video.